It's not exactly a display. It's stuff that we've collected for our own pleasure, rather than one-upmanship, if you like. You know, I mean, we like bicycles. It's as simple as that. And anything that we find that's got a bicycle motif on, then, provided it's not a ridiculous price, then we'll buy it. And it's part of our collection. We get a lot of fun out of it. And most of the stuff comes very, very cheaply, and there's so much of it about. Carrier bags. Dorothy's got quite a big selection of canvas carrier bags with bikes on of various sorts and prints.
Anything with bicycles on, we collect. Greetings cards, postcards, bicycles on tins, plates, cups, storage jars, all sorts with bicycles on. But there's bells and lamps, tea towels and aprons. It's all got some interest, which is very, very pleasing to the eye. And we can have a talk about it and see if anybody else has found the same piece. Not always. We're lucky because we fetch so much stuff from abroad, which people don't see in this country. And those are very nice as well.
I like riding all of my machines. I don't have a favourite. The machine I'm on at the moment is the one that I like. There are some that I quite like to get off fairly quickly as well, but, you know, I can enjoy all the bicycles that I've got. Oh, you get the usual sort of comments. Most of them are frivolous and meaningless, but you do get a lot of people who appreciate seeing the machines out again. My aim is to have one of all of the different types of machines that make up cycle history. When I was 16 years old, I started motorcycling. And it wasn't until I was married and we got 2 young boys and we were very much involved in the Vintage Motorcycle Club that I realised that my family were just an appendage to the vintage motorcycle combination of myself. They were just, it was like another extra. It was like having an acetylene lamp or a bulb horn or something. So I found that the cycle activity, the historic cycle activity, gave my wife and also my 2 sons the opportunity to become their own characters and do their own things. All the bits and pieces that have been collected will be restored. There's nothing that I personally feel is impossible. The thing about it all is, at the end of the day, when you've made something, you've actually produced something there, and you can go and do something with it. I can understand people collecting stamps because there's a certain fascination there, but when you've got a book full of stamps, I think when you've looked at them twice, that tends to be a bit terminal. But with my work, you can actually go and use the machine. Who knows, perhaps in a couple of years' time I might tire of it and want to do something else. I think it's very unlikely.
Actually, this is a tent I made myself. I wanted it this shape, and I couldn't buy a tent this shape. The Scandinavian firm makes the tent this shape, but it's too big for what I want. So I borrowed their design and adapted it for my own use. And I found it a very, very useful shape altogether. Last time I used it, I'd been to visit my brother-in-law in Suffolk. I was riding back, and I wanted a place to camp, and I camped by one of their dikes. It was a lovely, secluded spot, and the only notice up was they didn't want anybody. There was a footpath went over the stile. I didn't need it, but people warned against fishing. That was prohibited, but said nothing about camping. and it's 180 miles from Sheffield. I measured it on my cyclometer. I got there in 2 days and a half. I did about 70 the first day, 80 the second, and I was due to be there for lunch on the Sunday, and I was there with a 30-mile ride in the morning.
Well, I'm 87. I should be 88 in October. I don't live in the past. I live for the future, and I think cycling's a part of the future. It's got everything that the future ought to offer, and I'm flatly opposed to the present ethos of accumulating wealth and spending as much as possible when a simpler life is far more satisfactory and far more worthwhile in my judgment.
All I do, as far as cooking's concerned for breakfast, is to make a cup of tea. It's quite simple. And when that boils, I get the first tea and add some more water and finish off the process. So that's all the cooking I do in the tent.
I go around cooking for businessmen and do 3-course lunches and cakes and cookies and bread and things like that. I put it on a bike because I don't have to rely on trying to catch a taxi or getting wheel clamped or parking tickets. I park right outside and get my booty out, and it's quite easy. I do this for about half a year, do my cooking and then go off cycle touring abroad if I can.
Oh yes, now this was another very helpful chap I met. I was riding along and saw a church the other side of the road, and I thought I'd like to have a look, see what the Norwegian churches were like inside. And he got the key, he opened the church for me, and he also opened up this triptych Reredos, which apparently is quite a unique feature of the church, and he opened it up specially so that I could take a photograph of it. This is one of the very few occasions when I use flash, actually.
Clean.
Come on, girl, you have to work at this one. Oh.
Talking
50 yards, 50 yards, come on. Oh. Another 50. Oh. It's a tandem trike, obviously a 3-wheeler tandem, built by a mate of mine from Stoke-on-Trent, George Longstaff, to my ideas and his ideas have been incorporated in it. And it was a bit of a battle as to whose ideas came out on top in the end, but probably it was a draw. We race on it, tour on it, go down to the pub on it, use it as our major means of conveyance for the family.
Airplanes! Airplanes!
All right, all right, all right.
The people that buy a machine off us are serious, and they want a tool to do a job, and they want the best tool available to do that job.
Now, whether they're riding the Tour de France or whether they're doing a trip around the world, we can offer them the machine to do it. We take something like 12 different body dimensions to derive at what is needed. And then the frame is designed to do the particular job that they want it to do. You find very, very few of the really specialist machines are resold. As I say to every customer, the machine's never theirs, it's just on a lifelong lease. Because really, you can't sell your workmanship. The customer becomes the owner of it, but you cannot sell it, because it's always there. When I see the machines out, I still look over them, and I must admit, as a few customers have found out, I don't like it if the machines have been neglected or if machines have been abused, because they weren't made for that to happen to them. My own wife got killed when she was supervising my daughter or taking her to a cycle race, and they were riding along the road towards the start of the event when a small minicar pulled out of a farm drive in front of them. The wife got killed virtually instantly, and my daughter got very badly injured. It hasn't affected my attitude towards cycling, because cycling didn't kill my wife. It was a motorist that killed my wife. It was an accident. Accidents will happen. And it's just unfortunate that happened to be my wife.
The first man to ride from Land's End to John O'Groats was in 1885, J. Lennox, and it took him 6 days, 16 hours and 7 minutes. And that was on what is properly known as an ordinary, or to most people, it's a penny farthing. Funnily enough, I've always thought it was a silly old thing to do, really, you know, sitting on a bike for 2 days, but other men over 100 years had attempted it, and I thought I'd just like to have a go. After 2 hours you start to feel tired, and then 4 hours you're more tired, and I did really worried as to whether I could just keep going for that length of time, because I'd never ridden that far before. I can always remember I got to Exeter, I think that was 120 miles, and I did that in 5 hours, which is 24 miles an hour. As the ride progressed, my actual road speed dropped. My average speed for the whole event was 18.9 miles an hour. So most of the time I was doing about 20 miles an hour. In fact, I broke the record when I was 45 years of age, and I'm now 52, and I definitely don't feel I've got the physique to do that anymore. object of the exercise is not to get off the bicycle at all, but I personally found that impossible. The first real stop was at Tewkesbury. I put on night clothing, had a wash, and had some food sitting down. It's all right for the first 2 hours, but as the ride progresses, eating on the bicycle isn't all that pleasant. And then I more or less rode non-stop. I didn't sleep at all. I was extremely worried that although the weather conditions when I set out were good, I was worried they would deteriorate, and in fact if I had a very strong headwind over the second day, in particular considering I'd be very tired on the second day, then the record would have failed. Well, I suppose racing cyclists are difficult to live with. I can train up to 2 hours without it interfering too much with my family life. But to train for Land's End John O'Groats, I mean, it was such a major undertaking. I'd have to spend a lot of time riding, about 8 hours a day. My route was 847 miles in record-breaking time. One day, 21 hours, 3 minutes and 16 seconds. Well, I was absolutely exhausted. My ankles were a little bit swollen and I think I had a sore throat. I couldn't. For me, I'm a keen cyclist. I ride every day without fail, and yet I didn't ride for, I think, 6 days after the attempt because I had a sore bum.
Thermal jacket, gloves.
And it just weren't needed.
All you need is shorts and a jersey.
That's it.
That
but you're not to know.
You don't know at the time.
No.
No. We bombed along.
Once you've built your speed up, you're not so bad.
Yeah, I tucked in behind Bob, and away we went. I thought I enjoyed it. Smashing, you know.
Yeah. So you don't hit any hills. That's what's going to slow you.
It was flat. Made a smashing 10 course.
It's a 1951 frame that was made up into a bike in 1952.
It's not the kind of bike you can sit back and forget it.
No, you've got to ride it. Yeah.
Had the top tube length, you know.
It may be that I've got
Yours is cheese and a spare? Right. Won't be that. 29 is double cheese.
We're very thin on the ground, these kind of cafes. You know, we've been doing quite a bit of touring around the country, and we haven't found another one quite like this. I don't think there's anywhere quite like this.
It was a joke.
It wasn't really serious. Mrs. Eureka said she was selling the place, and I thought, well, it did suit Anne, because at that particular time she was the lollipop lady, where we lived in Harden, about 5 miles away. She used to stop the cyclists coming down the hill with a lollipop stick on Wednesdays when they were coming back here for their, for their tea. And I got home from the committee meeting and we talked about it. The following day when I got home from work, the estate agents had been round and given us the valuation for our house.
It's been Eureka now for 60-odd years. Started off with a little room, and then the war came and rations were hard to get, but the cafe kept going as a cyclist cafe. I looked after them. If they were poorly, I used to give them tablets and stuff, and if they came off the bicycles, I used to dress their bottoms and their elbows and their cheeks. I said I wouldn't sell it only to a cyclist because there was a building plot, planning permission for a bungalow here, and I didn't advertise it because I knew a builder would come along. And he would have demolished all this or used this as part of the bungalow, I don't know. And I didn't want that to happen. I felt it would have been 60 years wasted, which of course it would have been. So it's like I said, if I die tomorrow, I feel that I've done something with my life because even though I'll never know, I know that this will always go on as Eureka.
It's if you get one that's really comfortable and you really feel happy on it, you do
It tends to be much faster in response.
There's quite a lot of the old ones come. I think it's a kind of home from home. They come and reminisce. On a quiet Wednesday, they're outside on the benches when the weather's nice. We closed one Wednesday recently and they were sort of aimlessly wandering about, nowhere to go.
Don't have a lot of variety. There's cheese on toast, beans on toast, egg on toast.
Or any combination
Any
altogether.
combination. And now we do sandwiches and soup.
Cakes.
Cakes.
Several people come in for...
Which they call soggy
and
cake.
soggy cake. There's certainly plenty of miles in Anne's own cake. It goes down well. Basically what cyclists need. We get the odd family that come in and actually want chips, look up the menu and then go away again. Because cyclists don't really want too many chips. It's just the beans to get you home, basically. We get through tons of beans.
Actually, I haven't got any specific opening times. As soon as the first cyclist comes, that's it, I'm open. And even when I'm closed
we
and they want to
people
drink,
coming round.
I knock on the window or on the door and I let them in and make them a drink in the house. Because they know they don't have to pay for it in the house, you see. It's free.
You'll be full of customers during the week now, then.
Yeah, I know. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And the lads are a smashing bunch.
This was the piece de resistance from the photographic point of view. This is the youth hostel at Leardall, in the middle of the picture there. I spent a bit of time walking round that lake to get the reflections, but I was very pleased with that.
If something goes wrong after 6 months, we've done what most people don't do in their lifetime.
I think things that frighten you could be, for some people, or people say to us, when you come back and all this, but if you thought about everything in too much detail, I don't think you'd ever go. I don't think anybody ever do anything if they thought too much about it.
We've budgeted to come back to no money. We've budgeted to spend all this money on this trip. So theoretically we'll come back to the United Kingdom with nothing. And everybody seems to ask, well, what are you going to do? You know, what are you going to do for a house and all this? And
but
we just think two and a half years' time, we'll worry about it then.
One of the first things I want to go and see is the Statue of Liberty, because it represents freedom. It's there welcoming everybody into America. And that's what I think me and Christopher have got in our hands. We've got freedom for 2.5 years, and we're going to go out there and make the most of it.
And that's a lot, isn't it? Yes, out and return to Newcastle, yeah. It's 2 nights on the boat coming back. That's the worst part of Norway, the journey. I mean, I was more tired when I got back on the boat than I had been going over 4,000-foot paths. It's very tiring, the journey. It was one night on the boat going and 2 nights on the boat coming back. And then there's a journey back by train from Newcastle to London, so I was quite tired by the time I got home.
So would you say that's your favourite journey?
Hmm?
Would you say that's your favourite journey?
Well, I didn't enjoy the public transport part, the boat and the train, but the actual touring was magnificent, and the people were magnificent. The scenery was magnificent. It was a wonderful country.